Hey, what's up? I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. And this is actually a pretty good video because I managed to finish Regulator City. It's done. This project, there's gonna be a video probably about this where I talk about all the stuff that went wrong on this one, but also the things that went right. What matters is that the end result is here. Regulator City, feature complete. That's the key word here because I'm still play testing the game. Needs to test it. I need to test it a lot. I'm gonna do that on Discord as well, get other people to test it, because after so many years of development, my vision on this game and how easy everything is that of a player who has been playing for 4 years. So let's see if players who never touch this game respond to the game. That's going to be interesting. I'll do that on Discord when I'm a little bit further into the testing phase. Game's gonna be released somewhere early 2025. Have to pick the right calendar date for Steam and have to make sure the bugs are gone, or almost all the bugs that are very obvious are gone, and only the very weird, rare bugs that probably nobody runs into except that one person that always runs into bugs. He will find it and we'll fix it by then. So let's talk about Regulator City in this video. So the last couple of weeks or months, I guess even, I've been working on so many aspects of the game. So I cleaned up various parts of the interface. I went through this a few months ago, did a video on that, but there were still some screens that I didn't like, including the intro animation. I had worked on this, a lot of artwork done, but I kind of guess I never really liked it. There was always certain things bugging me about it. So I replaced it with something much easier, just a couple of art panels and then some text explaining the game in just a few lines. Let's just dive into the game. We don't need a full introduction and full animation and story and all that. Let's just have fun with the game. So I removed that whole animation stuff and I replaced it with just a couple of panels, art panels that have been scattered throughout the interface, so that actually makes sense to have them also tell you the story. And I also use that system to then show you the end of the story when you actually defeat the end boss. Another thing I added to the game, an end boss. We actually now have an end boss situation in there. And I think I did a video on this. It's a full level that has certain elements that you need to do. I'm not trying to spoil things here. And then you actually have an enemy, and that's the end boss. It all works and it's all in the game, and that kind of wraps it all up. And I also made bigger decisions. I was not happy with the music in the game. The music was written at a time, first of all, it was written by two different musicians. I had Rob do the original track, and then I had somebody contact me and he offered me to do the music for a very low price. And it was great music. At that point in time, it fit the game, but over time it just didn't fit the game anymore. The game became more stealthy, more tactical, more strategy, and that music was too much action oriented, I guess, too much focused on the action. So I needed something new. I asked Rob to do one more tune for the game, which is now the main tune you will hear when you play the game, and it's perfect. So I was looking to other games that use this, and I think Two Guns, I think is the name of that game, an older game, but it had a certain feeling, certain music in one of the tunes, not all of the tunes, but one of that. So that combined with something else I found in a movie, I think, gave that to Rob, told him I need something like this that really pushes the player and drives the player and builds up a tension. It has to be sort of a music that's there and you hear it, but it's also not there. It's part of the environment. And he came up with something awesome. So that's now in the game. Then I used his original track for some of the action scenes and when you actually complete a mission. And then I grabbed a couple of tunes from Gunslugs Rogue Tactics, which is a game that failed miserably, so not a lot of people have heard those tunes, but they also fit this game a lot better than the ones I had. So every now and then you just gotta reuse stuff, and I think this was very much an improvement on what it was. So the music is completely changed and now fits better with the current gameplay. And that's also the reason you shouldn't add music too early to your game, especially if you're not certain how your gameplay is gonna evolve, because I was too early with a lot of things on this project and music was one of those. Another little upgrade, I had the controls shown on the street. So if you started your first mission, there would be controls like sort of graffiti on the street, on the surface, and you would understand what to do. interesting. But the problem is that over time I changed it so that you don't start on a mission. You actually start in headquarters, indoors. So by the time you enter your first mission, you probably already know how to move. You already had to figure it out. So I changed that by adding a parking lot to headquarters, and that's where you start on your first gameplay session. And in that parking lot, you guessed it, the controls are now shown on the deck there, on the asphalt. There is a control scheme, gamepad or mouse and keyboard, and it gives you information on how to move. You can actually smash stuff on the parking lot. It's just a fun little area. So every time you return from a mission, you actually return and are inside HQ, but on your first game, you're outside, and you can always go back there to the parking lot. Maybe there's some stuff hidden there. I'm not saying that there's, but could be. Now, I've not just been changing little things like that. I've also added variations of enemies and things like that. I added one big change, and that's the gas mask stuff. I don't think I showed this on video yet, so I'm going to show it right now. So the idea is that over time, this ooze that is creating all this chaos and mutations everywhere is becoming very dangerous, and certain creatures, once they explode, will start filling up the room with ooze spores, and those are like toxic. So you need a gas mask, and that's now added to the game in various areas. So there can be rooms that are already toxic and ooze spores are always there. There will also be enemies that will leave spores, and then you need to grab your gas mask, put it on, make sure you get out of that area, or find a way to recharge your gas mask, because that filter you have in there depletes over time. So there are various stations where you can refill this gas mask, and this also adds a nice little tension to the game. A pretty big feature, but I don't think I showed it on any of my previous videos. So now you actually do get to see that one. Also added drooling creatures. Those are actually enemies but without weapons, but they are very fast and in numbers. So they are now spread around, and those actually show up earlier in the game. You can tiptoe around them because they are mostly alarmed by noise. So you can try to avoid them and move around them. A very nice little addition. Of course, you can also just go in and shoot them, but bullets run out at some point. Even if you have a great recruit that's shooting all of them, at some point bullets run out. So it might be better to avoid them, but I leave it up to the player to make that decision. And now the big thing that I've actually spent a few weeks on lately has been the level editor. Now I never knew if I was going to release this level editor with the game. It's built into the game. It's what I use to create the levels that are actually in the game. But it was never user friendly. It was set up so I knew what to do with it, and every now and then it would crash on certain things. So I avoided those things, but I now had to make sure those things don't happen, or that some error message is shown and it doesn't crash. So I had to make that user friendly, because it's gonna be released with the game. It allows people to make a single map, which is great, because that means the editor is there, you have to save a map, but that also meant I had to implement loading levels. So the game will now check if there's a level to load. If there is, you can play a single level, load it, and play it. And that sounds very simple, but that does mean I have to check the directory for a certain directory in the game location, see what kind of files are there, show those files, have a file dialog picking system. Of course, in the level editor, you have to be able to give it a name. So I had to add an entry dialog and everything. It's been an interesting challenge, but I think it's worth it because it allows people to easily make new missions. Well, easily. You need a little bit of instructions, and for that I actually created a wiki page on the Orangepixel game site. I have a bunch of pages there for different games, and now the editor has all the information there, taking you by the hand from the first couple of things you need to do to set up your first level, and then slowly build out to a bigger and more interesting level. I think all the information is there. I'll also give this to somebody on the Discord who's interested in trying it out, building a level for the game, see how far they get with it, or if they run into issues that can be maybe more clear or changed, whatever. It's all in the game now. And what took me even longer was making sure you can actually upload this to the Steam Workshop. Just press of a button, give this map a name, give it a description, and it will be uploaded to Steam Workshop, where everybody can just easily download it. You don't have to email these levels to anybody or upload them anywhere. You can just do this through Steam. So I'm really hoping this gives it that little extra that players really love. Be able to create your own maps and share them with your friends through Steam. We'll see how it goes. Now, a fun little extra feature I had to create for this is that you can upload a screenshot with every workshop item. And I've watched a couple of games and they all kind of just upload the same image for all the items. But of course, I wanted to make it more difficult for myself. So I'm now grabbing a screenshot of the level you're creating, put on the Regulator City logo. So we actually have a unique screenshot that shows the level that you're uploading as a nice little thumbnail. I think it's pretty cool. Now, an end user probably doesn't care at all, but technically it's pretty cool and awesome how this all works. Now, it took me a bit of time to get all these things up and running and working, but I made sure that I have it as like a separate piece of code, so I can use this piece of code in other games in the future, or even in the past, but I'm not sure that's interesting. But it is copy and pastable. And that brings us to the question, or maybe the answer, when are we actually releasing the game? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. It has to be early 2025, but I have to also figure out what the best time is to release a game on Steam. So I have to look at the calendar, which other games are releasing, all those things. Preferably it's an area where, or a week or weekend where not a lot of other games are showing up. That would be the best point of time, or that would be the best situation, but it's going to be hard to figure out because these days, I think there's 20,000 games being released on Steam every year. And that's increasing every year. So 2025, it might actually be 25,000. I don't know. It's going to be hard picking a perfect moment for this, but we're going to have to do that. First, I have to actually do a lot of testing, bug fixing. Hopefully not a lot, but there will be bugs in there. So I have to fix those. I'll have to run some tests with people on my Discord. Have to set all that up and see who I want to be part of that. You can always come and hang out on the Discord, and maybe if I don't know. I'm not sure who's gonna get into the test, but I will need some people to test the game at some point. So I'm gonna do that through the Discord. Of course, reaching out to streamers, YouTubers, Twitchers, anybody that can get me some extra attention on the game. That's the hard part. Well, reaching out is not hard, but getting response from them is very hard. So yeah, I'm just gonna try that and poke at a lot of bears and hope that somebody growls at me and then plays my game. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm gonna try and find people willing to play my game and show it to their audience. Also, the demo needs updating, but I think I'm going to do that in a minute when I'm done with this video. So by the time this video goes live next Thursday, it's now Monday, there should be a new demo of Regulator City. Also, saying that out loud, Regulator City, I'm thinking about renaming the game to just Regulators. Yeah, dropping the city part. At some point, this game was all about managing that city, having gangs spread around the city. But that kind of vanished. It's gone. It's not in the game anymore. And now city is just maybe too confusing for this game. So it could be more interesting to just call it Regulators, which means I have to update some logos and update some Steam capsules, images, which I've been updating anyway. I think I'm on edition 8 by now. I have been updating them, changing them, trying new things here and there just to keep it fresh. So every now and then when people say, I don't like this capsule, that's fine. But I had other capsules before that, and I'm going to have other capsules after this one. That's just an ongoing process. So I might rename it to Regulators. I think I can still do that. I have to figure out if that's going to be stupid or not, basically. But that's everything in life. It's either stupid or not. And then finally, multiplayer is still on the board. Online multiplayer. We have local co-op mode in the game. Works perfectly. I have a partly working multiplayer online version or local area network, but it's not perfect. It's based on the deterministic model, which means the game has to be a perfect simulation. If you enter left and right, then the game has to be the same on all games running that same version. It's just, if that sounds extremely complicated, that's because it is. Of course, the explanation could be a lot simpler. The code cannot. So far, I've been squashing things where two simulations or two connected players would run out of sync, and I've been squashing a lot of bugs and getting further and further, but there are still things that don't match up. And every now and then that's just not a lot of fun to work on. So I've been letting that sit for a while. Maybe in the next couple of weeks I might dive back into it. It's not a requirement for this game to launch and release, but it would be so awesome to have it. So I can't just ignore that it's there. It's almost working, except for the times where it's not working, which is almost every game I play. But up until that point, it's very awesome. It's a difficult situation. And I'm also wrapping up the video here. Now, I have nothing left to say, and I want to dive into my next game, Space Grunts, because I've been working on that for the last couple of days, and it's getting somewhere. It's becoming a game, and I need to actually finish that game pretty quickly, but I think I'll get back into that. We have 3 videos left for this year, which means one video is going to be end of year review, which is going to be very different probably from all the other years. I've been dreading that video a little bit. I'll get back to that when it's time to do that actually when it's time to actually do that video, and there might be a lot of... We'll get into it. Next week, probably I have planned that I'm going to talk about HTML5 because it's an interesting platform. A lot of stuff has happened, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen a lot more. So going to be an interesting video next week. And then we have 1 week left, and I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about in that week at all. So I don't know. 2 out of the next 3 videos are set. Maybe I'll talk about Space Grunts in that video, because I have been doing so much work on that game in such a short time that if I don't do a video about it, you're gonna miss a lot of cool stuff. So I might do a Space Grunts video in 2 weeks. And after that is gonna be 2025. I'm gonna do a plans video for the rest of the year and all that. And it's gonna be... It's going to be an interesting time. This year has been very interesting and not in a positive way at all. It's also been an industry. It's also been an interesting year in the industry. Also not in a very positive way. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to this channel because there's stuff coming. Don't forget to like this video. Give me a comment below if you want to be part or have a chance to be part of either testing the game or playing with the level editor. And before you play with the level editor, you should actually have played the game, and there's something floating in space. There's a lot of stuff floating in space. Never mind. So hop on the Discord, come say hi, come see where I am with stuff and all that. And I want to thank you for watching this very weird ending video. And I'm making it even more weird now. So see you next week. Bye.